What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Multifamily Monday. I'm here with my partner, Paul Rodriguez. Paul, how you doing, my friend?
Bless, my friend. How are you?
Oh, can't complain. Excited to have another great episode for everybody. But give them a little insight on what they might see, brother.
Absolutely. So we got some questions that we've been hearing from the community. Want to get them answered and give you guys some insight on kind of how we do everything.
Perfect. Yeah, so excited. Without further ado, let's just get right into it, right? Let's get it.
Let's do it. So the first question I think we were seeing was, can you describe your experience and approach to identifying profitable multifamily real estate investment opportunities? Mike, this is your territory. Underwriting is, I think, your specialty. I think you do a great job of it. So if you want to give the people some insight on how you underwrite properties and kind of see if they're profitable or not.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, what we like to focus on is obviously market research and data trends and analytics and all that good stuff. So, we like to do a lot of digging on the areas that we're buying or potentially, offering deals to buyers that we have in our network is mainly like if there's job growth, there's population growth, low vacancy rates, things like that, showing that wherever they might be buying, that there's people moving there and that there's life going into those areas. But that's what I would say. We have tools for that, which Paul, I know you can elaborate a little more on. And if you have anything else to add on to what I said, please, by all means.
Yeah, I would say first thing you have to dive into the financials, right? Like in multifamily, it's crazy how much your expenses can change month to month, just based on stuff that isn't in your control. Sometimes water bills go up, and then you have three, four, 500 units, and a very small increase in that water bill could be times 500, and then you're looking at a really you know delicate situation that you got to walk through. So it's little stuff like that. Talking to people that are in the area, people that have invested in the area, people that have experience, kind of getting their take from it, and then you really want to find the stuff that's not on paper, right? So a really good example of that would be to talk to, if there's a management company, say, hey, when's the last time the main line for the water was replaced? Or when's the last time the roof was touched? Like, you know, because your deal might be profitable and then you don't do due diligence. And then now all that money that you were cash flowing is now going into CapEx improvements to make the property better. So, yeah, I try to, profitable isn't just on the financials, it's on the stuff you can't see as well.
So true. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, you got bad financials and you have things that aren't really working for the deal, it might look great on paper or like on not on paper, actually it might look good in real life, but not on paper. But I'll go into the second one. So the second question we received a lot is how do you assess or how does VCI assess the financial health and potential risk of multifamily properties when we're making a purchase or offering it to purchase to another party? Paul, you want to give us a little insight on what you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So this ties into what we were just talking about, right? So the financial health of the property, right? So in other words, we have expenses, right? And that's something that we have to pay for. And that's everything from, like the management that takes care of the property all the way down to like little stuff that you wouldn't think of. And so you have to have a very firm grasp on the financials of the property. You need to make sure that you're asking a ton of questions. You need to make sure you're sending in professionals for every trade, making sure that um, the books aren't cooked, so to speak. I see a lot of times people will say, "Oh yeah, we only spend $10,000 a year on management services," and Mike and I look at each other and we're like, "It's a 300-400 unit. You only spend 10,000 a year on management costs." So you have to like people are gonna they're gonna put in numbers that aren't necessarily accurate. You have to make sure that they have the documents that can back up those uh, those facetious claims at times.
So true. Yeah, and then there's also, if we want to get into the nitty gritty of everything in my world, the underwriting and finance world, we use net operating income, also known as NOI. So that's basically, for anybody who doesn't speak entrepreneur yet, we'll teach you. Don't you worry. I'll give you the legitimate definition too. It's which net operating income is a metric used by real estate investors to determine the profitability of an investment property. So the higher the cap rate, the higher the percentages that this company is making money and at a greater scale, and vice versa. You see something in the ones, twos, threes, that's could be bad management, exactly like Paul was talking about, where they're not really getting the resources and things that they might need. There's capitalization rate, which uses NOI, and that actually is a metric in real estate as well that measures the return based on the net operating income. So, I mean, if that's the real percentage that you don't want to see, those ones, twos, 3%, you want to get things that are up in those eight, nines, tens, the higher stuff. And then there's obviously one more thing that's called IRR, or internal rate of return. It's used also to to hold on one second. Internal rate of return, IRR, which is also used as a metric to evaluate like the longevity of a property and their investment over time. So we use things like that to determine if it's actually a good deal, bad deal, and what we might be able to do with it based on those numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes down to the potential risk, that goes back to what we were kind of talking about in the first one, right? Like you got to do a deep dive on okay, is this okay? So this is a C class area, for example, right? Is it C class because of what? Is it a crime rate issue? What's going on there? Is there like
Did the mill close?
yeah, yeah, like did like a big like an Amazon facility close down, or a
Right.
Tesla facility closed down, and now hundreds to potentially thousands of people are out of work. It's there's a lot of things that go into when you're buying these multifamilies. There's a ton of things that go into the potential risk, right? And that can play in your favor if you do your homework, because you might get to a point in the negotiations where it's like, okay, well, in order for this deal to make sense, we got to knock it down $100,000. How are we going to do that? Explaining the risks, knowing your homework, like doing the homework when nobody else thinks to do it, and you really got to dive deep into these kind of things. Be thorough, ask a million questions, go to professionals, have them do evaluations of the property, and kind of make a well informed decision as opposed to just pipe dream, so to speak.
I
But
love that. I love it.
yeah, that dude, this third one's a good one. What strategies do you implement to maximize occupancy rates and to ensure tenant satisfaction in multifamily properties? Mike, what do you got for
I mean, there's a bunch of different ways. We touched on them before. It could be property management, could be maintenance, could be a whole slew of different things that could be going on in the financials. But it's really about doing that competitive market research. Like really diving in, getting to know the area. We personally use Crexy. It gives us a lot of great tools for market analytics. We can get deals from the past, see if people are struggling, maybe be able to come into their business and help them out, or just take it over for them. Um, that's just one way. I mean, let's see. I know we haven't done it yet. We've thought about it, but offering surveys, paying for mailers to send them out and see if people are happy with the area, if they would be interested in moving, the whole slew of marketing techniques. But yeah, Paul, I'd love to hear what you have on this too.
me? Okay. So if you have a multifamily property that is close to a college, close to a hospital, you can actually go out talk to the person that's in charge of those things and say, hey, listen, I got this big property. I need to fill X amount of rooms or X amount of units every month. Can you guys start referring your clients to us? So the schools are like perfect, right? If you're, I think it's typically if you're within like a 10-minute drive of any university, they'll consider you for that. And now, obviously, that's very niche depending on where you go. But you could go to these schools and say, "Hey, listen, I need 200 people to, be month to month or have 6 month lease, whatever the case may be." And you can fill them up that way. And then hospitals is a great one. I mean, you have these nurses that are traveling. They're going all over the place, and it would be really easy to go to the hospital and say, "Hey, you have people that work here that have crazy shifts that just need somewhere clean and safe to live. Let's make it happen." Mike, I would love to know your take on this. What do you think?
Oh my goodness. That's so perfect. And like the coolest part about what you just talked about, especially for people who would be the ones coming in to buy that property, is depending on how many rooms, like Paul said 200 for example. In those 200 rooms, that's one tenant.
Mm,
One. That's the beauty of that. You don't have to worry about 200 different leases with a property management company. All they have to worry about is one lease. That's it. And that's the beauty of what Paul was talking about. So,
mm,
Paul, thank you for bringing that
of
up.
course.
That is some game for the community here.
Yeah, dude, that's so slept on, man. I feel like if more people had this kind of sauce, the acquisition of these multifamily properties would be so much easier. Like you'd save yourself
Truly.
so many headaches. Like, how do I fill 200
Oh,
leases? Go talk to somebody who has 200 people that need somewhere to live. Like, it's literally just supply and demand. So if you try to, like, you don't even have to market anything. That's a phone call. That's a potential email away. So people, I feel like they like convolute it and make it more, more confusing than it needs to be. So it could literally be that
well,
simple.
yeah, truly, they do. That like NOI, IRR, cap rate. They try to make it confusing on us. Like we know that for those who do speak entrepreneur and real estate and whatever else might want to call it, but they try to make it confusing, folks. So that way you can't understand what actually happens in these big rooms. It's really not that difficult. You just have to do a little digging and a little research and get with the right people, and that's it.
Cody Sanchez has a great quote for this. She said, "They muddy the waters so that you think they're deep." I'll let you guys think
Oh,
about that
so
one for a
good.
week or two. Let us
So
know
good.
down in the comments what you guys think. If you have more questions you want us to answer, we'd love to answer them. Mike and I are always in here, chatting it up and trying to get people the answer they deserve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, folks. Like Paul said, let us know down in the comments of what your favorite part was. If you have anything you want us to talk about, we'll see you next week.
We love you.